You know when you have company coming and you clean everything
frantically
really well so that everything looks like you don't live a dirty lifestyle?
Does it look like you boondock in the desert for extended periods of time?
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. This is no regular company.
Yeah, this is no ordinary company.
This is no ordinary company.
It's no lie that we have been back and forth about whether we're going to settle or whether we're going to keep traveling, and we came to the conclusion this last contract that we're going to keep traveling. Because of that, we had to make this big decision whether we are going to upgrade to a whole new RV or fix the one that we have. And I know a lot of you have been asking, are you guys getting a new trailer? Are you getting a new RV? Wendy is here to stay, and the biggest reason is because we just don't want to incur more debt.
What we want to do is try to avoid the life creep, and what we mean by that is when you start making more money, you have a habit of spending more money also. So we're going to try to avoid that. We're all about the real talk, right? And how realistic is it for us to buy a new rig every couple of years anyway?
So we have decided that we are going to name this 4-part series Trick My Trailer.
Trick My Trailer.
Over the last 3 years, we've traveled over 60,000 miles. We've been coast to coast 4 times and completed 10 travel nursing contracts. And through that time, we discovered that we most enjoy finding campsites off the beaten path. And because of this, we have put a lot of wear and tear on our travel trailer. We know it wasn't made for full time, but it's what we started with and we own it free and clear. So here's to making it last a few more years. The only question left now is where do we go from here?
So Wendy has gotten a lot of upgrades. Actually, before we left Arizona, we've been traveling with those upgrades now. So we're bringing you a 4-part series, 2 episodes, 2 Real Talk Tuesdays on all of the things that we've done to kind of beef her up, to help her last longer.
I knew that if we were going to keep Wendy, that we would need some significant upgrades, mainly to the whole underbelly, right? Suspension, all that stuff. Broken leaf springs, shackles,
brackets,
you know, all the things, right? And so I went and looked for MORryde, who has a fantastic and amazing reputation as an aftermarket suspension company, and on a whim reached out to them, and they just blessed us like crazy with a whole lot of things. We're in Phoenix. This is like the tail end of the contract in Phoenix. And so, you know, I call it Cliffs Welding. They have a fantastic reputation. Plus, you've probably seen some other work done on other YouTube channels with them. And I wanted to work with them because I knew they would allow us to film. And I really wanted to film this whole process. And then I found out that MORryde, Austin, and Nick, Nick, right? Austin, not Jake. We've got to come down and film this process with us. It wasn't just going to be us.
And things kind of moved really quickly, and he's calling me at home. And he's like, I need you to take this tape measure and go outside and measure these things. And Austin sent over this sheet of, you know, requirements.
We got to see if things will even work with your trailer.
We got to make sure everything's going to fit. And so I had to go out there with the tape measure, and I had Ethan help me, and I'm just praying that the measurements are right. We got that all lined up, and then we had to take Wendy in to Cliffs, which is all the way over in Mesa. And if you remember, we were staying in North Phoenix, so we had to take her all the way down there to try
like an hour and a half away.
Yeah, to try to make sure that all of my measurements that I sent were good and that the MORryde parts that came in were gonna fit.
Yep.
Okay, so this is fun and exciting. This is our first trip here to Cliffs Welding. For now, what we're doing is having them look at the suspension and parts of things that they can reinforce for us for our future trips.
Center of the hanger to the other side.
Okay.
Same thing for the front and the rear hanger.
Got it. So we'll have 3 cross members right across.
Good.
That makes sense.
That's exactly how we would do it.
Oh man, I'm stoked. I'm really excited about all this.
All right, so we're good. Our parts are the right parts.
I'm like a kid at like Christmas. Like that's what I feel like.
He's
right
so
now.
excited right now. We are going to add the leaf springs. We can beef that up as well. I know some of you guys were concerned about that, seeing as we have broken ours a few times.
Yep.
We're going to go ahead and upgrade those. All right, I guess it's time to go check into our RV park.
Yes, we gotta get out of here.
Yes.
Well, I'm here, Cliffs. It's closed today, which is okay. This was all part of the plan. We're dropping Wendy off the night before. All this work starts on Monday morning at 7:30 sharp. The Cliffs fifth wheel there, doing a little filming with Wendy here, getting ready for everything for MORryde. All of our stuff is right behind this gate. I am excited. We are done cleaning. We've been cleaning and polishing and all the things. It feels like we say when special company's coming over. This has been a crazy week and I am so excited for what's to come.
Getting all checked in. You gonna sleep with Chloe tonight?
She actually really wants to.
Yeah.
You wanna feel up?
Really sprawled out on that bed.
It's trailer day! That's a throwback for all of you who don't know to one of our first videos that we ever made. But we're here today at Cliffs Welding. This place opens at 7:30. I was here at 7:15 and this parking lot was already mosely full. This is a hopping place. There's Wendy. I just went inside to check in. They're supposed to be pulling her back and we're gonna get started. MORryde should be here around 9 o'clock or so. And then the real fun begins. Thought for a hot minute that we could take a second to appreciate all the crazy that's going on right now this morning. This is me in here. So yeah, got the laptop set up that I'm looking things up, both coffees, utilizing a triple plug for everything, camera batteries, chargers, and the laptop right now. It's not nuts morning. Sitting over here at Cliffs, they're working on Wendy right now. Roger started like getting to work. So he took the wheels and tires and stuff off and we started looking at things and then hammering out the old suspension components, and you start to look at the differences between those old components and the new ones that were provided by MORryde. It's just amazing, like the durability and the size of them. You can tell we use the word beefier constantly. In fact, it was a running joke with the MORryde guys and me that everything was just beefy. That's all I kept saying. It was just beefy.
I couldn't think of any other word.
I couldn't think of any other adjectives.
So beefy.
It's so much beefier. I just want to take a second to appreciate the heavy-duty shackle bolt here, shackle kit, in comparison, and see if we can see it, to the old one. Look at that, you guys. Such a difference. Can't wait to see this thing on. So I've got Austin here from MORryde, and I wanted just to take a second, first of all, to say thank you guys so much. We're just super grateful for this, for what it's going to do for us and our travels. Tell me a little bit about MORryde as a company.
Yeah, so most people when they think of MORryde, they think of suspension. They think of what can we do for the underside of your RV. So like we talked about, you're getting the wide track CRE, so that's going to just completely smooth out the ride underneath the Passport. But MORryde's been around for about 60 years now. So we started with suspension, that's kind of our bread and butter, and then we expanded from there into steps, sliding trays, TV mounts, anything metal related that can work for an RV.
So can you just briefly run down what all that you guys are providing for us here, just the different products and kind of those things?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So we got the wide track CRE, and what the CRE is, it stands for compression rubber equalizer. So it's going to compress a rubber up and down to give you a much smoother ride as you're going over rough roads. So wherever you guys end up, if it's, you know, out west, out east, up north, down south, it's going to be a lot smoother ride all over the U.S.
All over.
So a lot smoother ride. And again, what that does is it utilizes a rubber cushion to absorb all that energy underneath the RV.
It increases like suspension, a little bit of the travel too, right?
The suspension travel. So that's a term that gets thrown around a lot. So it basically is going to give you an extra inch of wheel travel, meaning that as you go over rough roads, it's going to increase your wheel travel or suspension travel by an additional inch. Doesn't sound like a lot, but as you're going over those rough roads, your RV is your house on wheels. So the best way to protect your investment is to give it a smooth foundation to absorb some of that road energy. We're also going to include a wet bolt kit, which is also known as a heavy duty shackle kit. And that heavy duty shackle kit is going to give you 1/2 inch steel shackle plates. It's going to give you bronze bushings. It's also going to give you greasable bolts. So that's just going to be the complete powerhouse of a suspension system. It ties into the equalizer, and it just gives you that complete peace of mind where as you're going over those rough roads, you're going over those expansion joints, those railroad tracks, all of that energy is going directly into the frame of your trailer. And that's where you can see some issues with broken shackles, damaged leaf springs, broken frame hangers. And so we're going to avoid all that.
Those of you that have been around long enough know that we've already been through some of that already.
Yep. So again, for a couple $100, you know, you can upgrade your RV completely with, you know, a complete rebuild of the shackles, the bolts, and the bushings on the inside of there.
Yep.
On top of that, we're going to also include, it's called the X-Brace cross member, and so it's going to attach directly to each of the frame hangers at each location. Basically what that's doing is anyone that's owned an RV, as you're backing into a tight space, you can hear that creaking and that rolling and the clicking, the popping.
Clicks,
So what we're going to do is we're going to install a cross member that attaches directly to the frame hanger at each location, and that spans the full width of the RV. It's a direct bolt-on, and it just gives you a complete firm foundation underneath the RV. And with that, again, you're not going to have any of the frame rolling or the bending of your frame hangers. A lot of people weld in those frame hangers, and this is going to eliminate the need for that. It's always an option to also weld in those frame hangers, but that cross member is going to completely reduce the frame stress at each location by about 90%. On top of that, we're also doing...
There's a lot of on top of that.
Yeah, so we're just going to keep going down the line.
They've been very generous to us, they really have.
And we're going to do a set of MORryde step above steps. We're going to
replace these things right here.
The diving board steps is what they're commonly known as. We're going to put in a storage box underneath that replaces the old steps underneath the entry door. And then we're also going to do step lights and a handrail.
Yeah.
So we're doing the complete setup. We're really excited about it. And on top of that, we also did it's called the Winfield X-Brace stabilizers. And so what those are going to do is those actually attach directly to the scissor jacks, and they help stabilize the unit from that rocking from side to side.
In addition to the stuff that we had filmed with MORryde at Cliffs, we actually had some work that Cliffs was able to work in for us while we were there. We also wanted to upgrade the brakes on Windy, or really just repack the bearings and just standard trailer maintenance, because we figured we'd have a long trip ahead of us. The interesting thing that happened with all of this was, when they went to take the drums and stuff off the brakes, they could tell they needed to be replaced. In fact, I think there was one part where like the brake pad just like fell apart. It just crumbled apart. So it was due. It was due.
The importance of regular maintenance and checking on things is, look, our brake wires are disconnected on this side. He says sometimes road debris can do that. Who knows? Don't know when this happened. Hard to tell with the truck and everything, but yeah, glad that we found that.
There's the old brakes and springs and stuff, all the old drums. As you can see, they're a little beat up.
It got interesting and complicated because I had the guys come out to me and they're like, you know what? The axles that you have on these are kind of a weird one that is made for a few models. They're Dexter axle, which is a common one, but anyway, long story short, they didn't have the parts for them. They didn't have the brake parts, and they're like a huge shop, and we usually have all these things, and we're sorry we don't. We could get them in maybe in a few days, and we're planning on leaving, you know. This was all at the very end of the contract. So it was this crazy rush to try to figure out what we were going to do.
Would have been extremely expensive.
Yep. So Scott, who is the owner of Cliffs Welding, came to me, you know, later that day and was like, look, be honest with you, it actually might be cheaper overall just to upgrade everything. The axles, the brakes, the whole thing, all new stuff underneath of it. Brought it all up, quoted it and everything like that, and Yeah, it was actually about the same cost.
Thank you, Cliffs. We've got all new brakes now, leaf springs.
We went from
axles.
Yeah, we went from 4,400 axles to two 5,200 axles. Still the 6-bolt pattern. We got super lucky in the fact that the wheels fit. That was a huge concern.
Because you remember we had just put new tires.
We just put new tires on her. And they were like, well, we'll see if it matches. If it doesn't, you're probably going to have to get new wheels. And I'm like, do you think I could take these back to discount? And,
but it was literally like the next day or 2 days later.
Yeah.
I think it was actually the very next day.
It was. So Wendy has bigger axles, bigger brakes. Everything is brand new. The leaf springs, the cross members. It is like the ideal setup that you could have for a travel trailer.
And especially for us being boondockers, it has brought so much peace of mind over the last several weeks. If you're with us on TikTok or Instagram, you can see some of the crazy adventures that we've been on.
No, I know it's heavier duty now. It's beefier. But that doesn't necessarily mean I'm doing crazier stuff that I wasn't doing beforehand. It's all the same crazy. We're not going to carry more weight for the tow police out there. Just so they know, we're going to try to stick to that sticker.
The new axles can take more weight. We know that the sticker still stands. However, it is capable of carrying a little bit more weight now, especially since we also reinforced the frame.
With the cross members and all that kind of
axles.
stuff.
Luckily, throughout this whole process, the kids had very little complaints. They were, after all, hanging out at a pool with their nanny and papa at a hotel, with all-you-can-eat ice and free breakfast in the mornings.
This has been our suspension episode, number 1 of 4 of our Trick My Trailer episodes.
We still got more
We still
stuff.
have more, so come back on Tuesday for Real Talk Tuesday to see the next upgrade.
We'll see you out there.
1, 2, 3 beds. Tons of space. Look at what they're doing. They're all crowded on one bed. And then there's these two.